What's going on, Patai? What's going on, John Foster Brooks? Oh, Robert, Eugene, Sandra. What is going on? Where the food at? I don't know, shit. I'm still at work. I figured we just talk. Yeah, no, I'm not up late like without a reason. Yeah. Had to make that transition, sir. What's going on? Rob, Rob, like, it is late. Why are you not asleep? And that is correct. Normally, I would be en route home, going to sleep. Oh, no, nothing's, well, nothing besides what usually is on my mind is on my mind. Rob, I think you will, well, I know you will appreciate this conversation. I know you will. You said, what's up? Hey, what's going on, Kevin? What's going on? I'm getting ready to send my other books to you as well, because I was waiting on this one, Rob. I was waiting on this one to come in. This one just came in, Impatient Patience. So I was waiting on that one to come in so I could send these two. Yay. It's about 8-year-old patience who learns about patience a rather unfortunate way, but it brings the message in. So I was waiting on that to come in too. Yeah. Fun. Also, not about the books. Rob, I'm gonna go ahead and play this video, and I don't know if I should do it or not. I know that's not your usual style, because I've never seen you do anything like, you know, what I'm about to do. Not saying demonstration wise, but I think, you say you need that more than your little one? For sure, absolutely. Dude, we all need that one, for real. Gassing people up and getting them motivated, in essence, for a conflict they're not ready for. I'll just play the video because I played it before, but I'm going to play it again. Here we go. Let's just dive into it.
Boom! It's Tactical Kurl. Situational Awareness. Understand individuals that's walking and what's going on. Always paying attention to people and having the means of defending yourself. Fight, flight, or freeze. In this situation, if I had my firearm on me, I would have been fighting. If the individual is pointing deadly force at you at that moment, you don't know if this situation is going to turn into a murder or a robbery, because in a moment's notice, your subject might decide to blow your head off. So you, as an individual, you have a right to fight for your life. This is a situation of aiming at the leg would have not done you any good, because those individuals would have might killed you. But in this situation, the individual was able to attempt to get his vehicle. Now, if they have already got the drop on you, what do you do? Tactical Kurl. What do? You fight. You fight for everything you have.
So of course I'm not a fan of that kind of advice, and the reason why is, you know, I think of it like this, and Rob, I know you've seen it too. I mean, you've taught courses way longer than I have, and so, you know, I yield. But I will say this though, you know, you've got all these years of experience avoiding conflict before you were carrying a gun. Now that you carry a gun, you want to get into conflict. You see what I'm saying? And so I'm saying all that to say this. Think about it. What should I do if I had no gun to use? I'll say it again. What should I do if I have no gun to use? Remember that. Say that damn near daily. What should I do if I have no gun to use? It's like, now that you're carrying a gun, you want to abandon all of the conflict resolution skills that you've learned. You want to abandon everything that you could use at your disposal to help you avoid that conflict. And you want to get into that conflict solely because you have a tool that can, in fact, cause deadly harm to someone. You know, I think sometimes people confuse ability versus intent. Yes, Rob, if you wouldn't do something without a gun, don't do it just because you have one. And I agree. And I heard you say that before. You know, you got to think about it. I think people confuse ability with intent. Just because someone has the ability to kill you doesn't mean they are actually going to. There is such a thing as the threat of force, you know. And if you look at that video, you know, the guy, he got around to the passenger's side of the cab, of the bed, you know, the truck bed, and then, you know, didn't move any further, just stuck there. Hey, baby, my daughter is what? You got school in the morning. So I got to change the way I talk. I ain't changing. Hey, baby, you should be asleep, but I don't mind you watching now because you're up now, but all right, we'll talk. Because when you get the advice, you get the advice. You need to de-escalate. Well, no, there is nothing in that situation to de-escalate, Kevin, because, you know, in that moment, you need to react. You need to move. And I will say this. We've gotten so sensitive as a country with not doing things to offend people that we don't pay attention to the things that, oh, school's out tomorrow? Okay, baby, you can stay up and watch. We gotten so in tune with not trying to offend someone that we don't use our antennas that may make us look like we're discriminating. It may make us look like we're thinking the worst about someone, but we're not taking into consideration that that person chose to wear this article of clothing that made that kind of assessment possible. You know, look, what I'm going to say is controversial, and I don't care. I don't have anything to lose. Profiling works. It's an ugly thing. You can argue whether it should or should not be done, but profiling works. Now, what you do with profiling can be a good thing or a bad thing, but just the act of profiling works. You live in that neighborhood. You're probably up every morning around that time. You know who lives in your neighborhood and who doesn't. If something looks out of place, it probably is out of place. If something looks like it doesn't belong there, it probably doesn't. And even if you had your gun, it's still 3 of them and 1 of you. If you were lucky enough to get off one shot, please believe that another one is returning in your direction. Know that. You need to ask 2 questions at the same time. Am I ready to kill? Am I ready to die? And I think people don't think about that. They automatically think about, and that doesn't mean because you're ready to kill that your intent is to kill. You see what I'm saying? Because that is the outcome that could in fact happen with the use of a gun. After all, we don't shoot to kill, we shoot to stop the deadly threat, but in shooting to stop the deadly threat, you could in fact end up killing. So are you ready to kill and are you ready to die? Because you could shoot and stop that deadly threat. That deadly threat could die, but then you could have been shot too and not know it until sympathetic nervous system backlash, when you begin to calm down and all that stuff. And then your body starts to collapse, things start to happen, and then you die. Or get into other critical issues. So if I'm about to lose it all, you don't know if this person's going to kill you, if they're not going to kill you. So what do? You fight for everything you have. No, 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 no. And understanding ability versus intent. They have the ability to kill me, but they may not have the intent just yet, because if they really wanted me dead, they would have killed me already because they had the drop on me before I even saw them. So count that in, check that box, give the property up, buy time, manufacture time, to run, to respond, to do. You got to manufacture time because you don't have it, right? I'll give you a perfect analysis. Me with the basketball, Michael Jordan with the basketball, right? Take me out the equation. I'm horrible at basketball. But let's say Michael Jordan with the basketball, right? He's got the skill. He's got the ability. Give him the basketball. He has the tool. Go on ahead and put him on the court, be it concrete or the actual gym. He's in his location. He's got that tool. He's got the tactics. But if the shot clock is out, he doesn't have the time to use all of that. And unlike in a gun situation where you might be able to manufacture time, on the court, when the clock is out, it's out. Time is everything. You gotta have the time. Sometimes you have to manufacture it. It's true. You don't just fight for what you have, as you heard in that video. That sounds like insecurity. Let's look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I believe I still have this chart. Bam. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You've heard me talk about this before. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you got 5 levels: physiological, safety, love and belonging, esteem, and self-actualization. The problem is when you have insecure folks, right? When they don't have things, right? And they're denied of those things when they were younger in their childhood. As they begin to grow up and grow older, and they begin to do various things, both illegal and legal, or let's just say even legal, right? Because they have not learned security outside of the acquisition or the collection of material, they begin to collect material, trying to falsely create a sense of security, and they begin to impart life in that material. In them imparting life in that material, they begin to believe that when someone tries to take it, they must fight to the death to secure that thing. That's why the concept of understanding that you have insurance to replace that is not something they can collect, because first of all, they may not have insurance for that thing. Let's talk about that. And if they do, they're not taking into consideration, or they forget within that moment, in that amygdala inspired moment, that they can replace that thing with insurance. You don't see people insuring Jordans while people do insure cars. But they don't think about that when they're outside of the prefrontal cortex. They think about that later, after the emotionally charged situation is over. They will shoot to protect that car, shoot to protect that door, without any other indicators that the person who kicked the door is going to cause you death or great bodily harm. They are quick to say that the police is quick to use deadly force, without any consideration that they too, under that same kind of Maslowian fear, are quick to use deadly force under the like fear that they so quickly chastise. You see what I'm saying? And so the fact of the matter is this: you got to be careful when you take advice from certain people, especially when you really don't know. Maybe seek a second opinion. We can argue or debate whether it was good intentioned. I don't know. But it was definitely bad advice. If someone's trying to take your car and they got the drop on you, give that shit up. Ability and intent, 2 different things. Or in some cases, they could be the same thing. Who knows? But I would argue it's 2 different things. Just because someone has the ability doesn't mean they necessarily have the intent. Especially if you look at other factors in that given situation. That was horrible advice. that this person in that video gave. Don't do that shit. Here's a situation in Chicago. I want you all to see this.
Crispy Cuts Barber Shop on 112th Place near State.
This is like a neighborhood institution.
Last night, this Roseland business turned into a crime scene. It sits right across the street from the office of 9th Ward Alderman Anthony Beal.
It's surprising.
Police say around 7:15 Saturday night, 43-year-old Derek Golston was robbed by two men outside of the barber shop. Those in the neighborhood tell me this father of two young boys was selling meals out of his food truck at the time.
Jerk chicken, it was, God, all kinds of things would come off all these sides, and it was cheap. It was like $10, and I would go upstairs, and it was just delicious.
Yes, I buy sandwiches from him all the time. I didn't know his name was Derek. I called him Swole, like everybody else called him, because everybody knows it. That's how he earned his money.
Police say the two men who robbed Golston then went inside this barber shop to execute another robbery. Golston, who had his concealed carry license, got his gun and went inside to stop them. Gunfire was exchanged and 3 people were shot. A 51-year-old man, one of the robbers identified as 18-year-old Carlos Smith, and Golston. Both Golston and the 18-year-old robber died at Christ. Now, the day after, Golston is being revered for his final selfless act.
In my book, he's a hero.
In all honesty, it's the kind of guy he was. This is a guy who saw something terrible that was about to happen, and he intervened. And it's the last thing that he did. And it's really hurtful to find out that he actually passed away.
Police tell me the robber who died was wearing a mask and had zip ties on him, signaling something even more sinister. His accomplice got away.
They had an intention to go in there, tie everybody up, and rob the place. I hope they catch the guy who got away. I really do.
Police are now reviewing surveillance video from the scene. In Roseland, Courtney Guzman, WGN News.
That's a very sad situation. Very sad. In that situation, you heard what was said. Got robbed, didn't have his gun on him. Guys go inside the barbershop. He then goes inside and gets his gun out of his vehicle instead of calling the police. You're already outnumbered. You know you're outnumbered. And then you go inside and confront. Well, that was the trigger that got them to exchange gunfire. And he, having a second lease on life when he could have lost his life in the first robbery, the first armed robbery, gets into a shootout, being a hero, right? Without understanding that you should call the police and get them en route. They are contained. Get the police en route. Stop playing police if you don't know what to do. And even if you do know what to do, you're still outnumbered. Still outnumbered. That would have been the thing of following the last advice you just heard and it failing. You should have called the police after you got robbed. The police would have been en route and you would have been safe and had a second lease on life and a story to tell. Instead, he went in and played police. Don't get me wrong. There's times where I understand playing police is necessary. But understand that in playing police, the one thing I can say about that, having been a police officer, is there is the follow-up. And then you get some cops that have tombstone courage, where they know they're outnumbered and they still do stuff anyway and get themselves killed. But with the follow-up, you got the gun, you got the command, then there's the compliance, then there's the walk up, grab, secure the gun, secure the subject, from the securing of the subject into the car, from the car into the station jail lockup, from the lockup to another place, from another place to the county, from the county to the you see what I'm saying? There's always some follow-up. The problem is when you go in there, freeze, and they don't freeze and they begin to shoot, what then? You haven't never been in a shootout that you've been successful in, obviously. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to read a comment from Rob Pincus, and we're going to go on ahead and go. I don't want to take up too much of your night. You got to make a plan now. Remind yourself daily. Think about it. Talk about it. Tell your family and friends that you will not use deadly force to protect property. You will not use deadly force unless you need to. That's how you set yourself not to fall for the emotional improvisation. And he is absolutely correct. And when you make a plan, rehearse that plan. I ask all the time, how many of you play hide go seek? Right? In your house. I ain't played that since I was a kid. But all of a sudden, you going to make kid moves and try to hide with your fat body or your skinny body in certain places. When you were a kid, you were able to do that. Now your body is saying, Jack. See? You know what you're going to do in a carjacking situation, but you don't even play carjack in your garage. You see what I'm saying? You don't rise to any occasion. You stoop to the level of your training. What makes special operators and people who do this professionally, what makes them great at what they do, is that they are great at the basics. They practice the basics ad nauseum. And then they add just a little bit of flavor and spice on the basic love. Why? Because your brain is going to go to a pre-primed state. What you put into it, you're going to regurgitate. You're going to get out. If you don't put in it, or you don't put anything in it, you're not going to get anything out of it. Our bodies and brains are like computers. It needs responses to respond. You not just magically doing shit. Now, there are magical moments. How did you do it? That's not always the case, though, right? So stop tricking yourself. Stop letting people gas you up for a conflict that you're not even ready for. In the Spec Ops community and in the SWAT community, if you don't have a brain, they don't want you. They can teach anyone how to shoot. Think about the FBI. Think about the Secret Service. I have a degree in criminal justice. We don't care. I mean, we kind of do, but we don't care. What's your specialty? We want special agents, not shooters. We're going to teach you how to shoot. That's easy. We're going to teach you about the law. That's easy too. But what makes you special? What makes you a special operator? What makes you a part of this special weapons and tactics? What makes you special? Your brain. The fact that you can think. 100% of the conflicts you avoid are the ones you win 100% of the time. If you don't know how to avoid it, then you're dead. You're no good to us. If we send you on a surveillance mission, that's what we mean. Not shoot the shit up because then now we don't get the surveillance. It's the surveillance we need for the bigger thing. Special. You are special. Your life matters. Use your brain and make your matter move. This is Instructor Mike, and you've been trained. Follow me on Facebook, Mike Brown, or Instructor Mike. Follow me on TikTok and Instagram at Yes Mike Said It. Subscribe to my YouTube page, Instructor Mike. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications. Take your butt to sleep, because I know I'm about to take my butt to sleep too. And make sure, go on Amazon, whatever the case may be. Purchase my children's books, stuff like that. It's a lot of great ones, the ones that just came out, stuff like that, okay? All right, I am out of here. I do have concealed carry courses, but I'm going to talk about that just a little bit later. Y'all get some sleep. I'll talk to y'all later.